Hello, Ben here. Happy Christmas, everybody, and welcome to Benjy's Cafe podcast for the first of two festive bonus episodes. Our first Christmas cracker joining me for a chat and a mince pie is the actor, pantomime dame, puppeteer and writer, Jamie Riding. Most recently, Jamie starred as Francis Henschel in Richard Bean's hit comedy One Man, Two Governors for Revive Theatre. He has been a professional Punch and Judy professor for over a decade, and his Professor JR show celebrated its 10th anniversary playing to audiences nationwide. Jamie is also one of the UK's most loved pantomime dames, and this year will be returning to Weymouth Pavilion to bring joy, laughter and happiness as Mrs Smee in Peter Pan. Jamie has Asperger's syndrome, which makes him the brilliant and wonderful soul he is today. In this episode, Jamie discusses the impact of living with Asperger's on his life and career, the art of pantomime damehood, and making people smile.
For me, my saying is every day I say, as long as I make one person smile or laugh in a day, that day is good. If I don't, it's wasted. Every day I have to make somebody happy. That's what I do. That's how I live my life. And when I do, then I'm very, very happy.
It really is a joyous conversation. Welcome to Benjy's Cafe podcast, Jamie Riding. Good morning, Jamie. How are you?
Lovely intro. That's very nice. Oh, I thought, blimey, is that actually me? Very nice.
Well, you're a nice chat, and thank you for popping in for a cheeky festive mince pie in Benjy's Cafe podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's great fun to be here.
Oh, you're so welcome. Jamie, just want to start off with, you've just finished touring with One Man, Two Governors, fantastic comedy. But how was that, Jamie? I mean, what a wonderful script from Richard Bean. Was that a nice experience for you?
Phenomenal. I mean, for me as an actor, there's a few roles that I've always wanted to do. And to play Francis is a huge tick off the bucket list for me. Because, you know, the genre itself is very similar to Panto-esque kind of thing, but it's a whole beast in itself. In the fact that it was so much to learn as well. And it was quite daunting, the fact of how much I had to learn. But I got there and I had so much fun with it. And the nice thing was our director, he kind of let me play with it to an extent as well. And I put a couple of extra little ad-libs in and stuff like that. So I don't know if people out there know the play at all, but there's a bit when Francis says about he's getting letters from the post office. And there's a line in there that goes, oh, I could get a job at the post office. That'll be 3 jobs. That's the normal line. But we added in a little extra thing. I could get a job at the post office. Actually, I don't see that on the horizon. So, you know, it just made it a little bit more me and a bit more topical. And it was just really nice to be able to play some lovely theatres as well. Where we opened it was at the Tivoli in Wimborne. And that was where I did my first professional panto. So to be back there doing another show, and dare I say it, being top of the bill, whereas where I was before, the bottom of the poster, I mean, I wasn't even on the poster. And there you go. And it's nice to be able to say, do you know what, I've almost made it. Do you know what I mean?
How lovely you had a director who let you have a little bit of freedom as well. Really, that must have been lovely to have that really comfortable environment in the rehearsal room, because that's so important, isn't it?
Absolutely.
For you, when you, even with your panto experience, to feel comfortable in that space.
No, definitely. He was great. It was one of my old lecturers from when I was at college, and he said that he couldn't see anyone else playing the role. So that was really, really lovely that he said that. And all the audiences were just amazing. And I mean, we played some lovely theatres. We played the Tivoli in Wimborne, the Electric Palace in Bridport, and which is a beautiful Art Deco cinema theatre, stunning, all murals on the walls and everything. And then you played the Molam in Swanage. So it was all sort of Dorset venues, but 2 of them I hadn't played before. So that was really nice to be able to actually play those 2 different theatres that I haven't actually worked in before. So it was nice to work out the room and the comedy and the laughs and stuff. So it was really, really nice.
Isn't it lovely ticking the theatres off the list? I'm at the Mansfield Palace this Christmas in Panto, and I haven't played that before. I'm so excited. It's like just lovely to think, oh yeah, I can tick that off the list, that one there. What I love, what you've just mentioned, Jamie, is working out the environment in which we perform. Yeah. That's important as well, isn't it? How to gauge an audience, gauge a room. Is that something that you really enjoy, being able to, to just sense that each night?
For me, there's one thing that I always do. A friend of mine who's my panto son again this year, Tony Rudd. Tony does this thing where when he goes into a new theatre, he just stands on stage for a couple of minutes just to take it all in. And so you can work out the area, you can work out, the beats and work out the eye lines and stuff. And I've kind of carried on doing that as well. And it's really nice to be able to feel, okay, I know that someone's going to be sat there, so I know how to time that line. I know how to maybe move slightly differently because they're
Yeah.
slightly closer or slightly further away. And it's really nice to be able to just have that moment of going, right, this is the space that I've got to work with. And you almost, I know it's going to sound a bit arsey, but you become at one with the space. Do you know what I mean? Do you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
no.
Sounds a bit arsey, but it's true.
And you're dead right. I worked with God, it feels like 1950s, 60s now, but a long time ago with Barry James. He was playing Cogsworth in Beauty and the Beast when I first did that. And just to watch him as well, even with big rooms, he could, just gauge each audience differently. And that skill which you have, it's such a skill, like full stop. And a lot of people don't realise that a different venue, a different room can just tweak your performance, can't it?
It's crazy. I mean, it was really interesting to see, especially for One Man Two Governors, how the same lines and the same gags landed totally differently in each venue. And it was, there's certain ones that every single time got that laugh. There was one time that it wasn't even a gag or a joke or anything. It got a massive laugh. I'm thinking, what did I do? How did I achieve that?
Yeah.
It's always the best thing. Is like, how did I actually do that? But it worked. So, at least I did it once. So it doesn't matter really, does it?
And France is a big part. My goodness, that's a big ask, isn't it? And physical comedy, you must have been exhausted. Like Panto's a tough schedule, but One Man Two Governors, did you literally just have to reboot and recharge between performances so you're on peak form?
I slept for a week afterwards in between. We had so normally it was Tivoli and Wimbledon. We had Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then it was each of the venue was Friday and Saturday. So after the Friday and Saturday, got home on the Sunday, bam, straight to bed. It's just passed out for 3 days, just going, did I just do that?
It's funny, isn't it? Because people say, any invites in January, I'm like, no, I'm going to be sleeping. I'm recharging.
Well, you say
especially
that.
when you get to my age.
This is how sad I am, right? I finish Panto. I normally go and see about another 6 or 7 if they're still open. I go and do a Panto tour because I get so depressed after it's finished. I have to go and sort of still be part of that world and slowly wean myself off of the Panto buzz. That's kind of my mechanism of coping with it, really.
Because it's a joyous experience, Panto, isn't it?
Oh,
and you
absolutely.
Can't help but get close to your company. And because literally, come December, it's seatbelt fastened and away you go for a few weeks, isn't it?
It's mental. And I mean, I'm very lucky in the fact that where I'm back at Weymouth's only sort of 45 minutes, 50 minutes down the road from me in the car. So on days off, do we get days off? Slightly.
Well, theoretically, yeah, but mine are usually snoozing and Christmas shopping frantically.
But for me, on my days off, I can actually come home and have relax in my own room, my own bed, and just be around my normal sort of setting and everything. And the nicest part about it is I get to be at home on Christmas Day, and it's really lovely as I get to wake up at home on Christmas Day. Yes, I go back for 2 shows on Boxing Day, but there we go.
Yeah, what I love on Boxing Day, my little tradition, Jamie, it's the turkey sandwiches from home. Okay, as long as I've got my turkey sandwiches in my foil, I can get through 2 on Boxing Day.
She's a cheap date, bless her. She's a cheap date.
I know, and also she's probably slightly odorous as well, slightly whiffy woo woo on stage on Boxing. All those Brussels sprouts, dear, my goodness. What I love, Jamie, you're a wonderful comic performer, family entertainer, of course. Who are your kind of comic idols growing up? People say I look like a bit of Brucey. He was one of my heroes. Who are yours? Like, who did you used to love? Who did you used to laugh to when you were young?
Well, it was all the sort of classics, really. I loved Mr. Bean growing up. That was one of the big things to me, the physical kind of things. But for me, growing up having Asperger syndrome, type of autism, I didn't really find my love of the theatre and comedy until quite later. And I was about 7 or 8 when I saw my first panto, and for me that was a big thing, going to the theatre and sort of seeing that. But so it was, a lot of it was the classic children's TV of my era. It was like, the Tweenies, Tops TV, that kind of era. And one of my biggest things for me was Fun Song Factory, which had Dave Benson Phillips in it. And when I was younger, this is going to sound bonkers, I was terrified of the theatre, terrified of it. So it was the noise, it was all those surroundings, no go. Right. So I saw, well, I didn't see it, but my parents saw a show that Dave was touring, Dave Benson Phillips, called Get Up and Go. And it was a show that he toured around for years and years, funnily enough, with his wife in a massive giant teddy bear costume. The whole show it was a lot calmer. It was basically the first version of a relaxed performance. And it was just him and a guitar. It was just really relaxed. It was really lovely. And after that, the following Christmas, I went and saw my first panto and thought, wow, I love this. So it slowly brought me into it. And a few years later, I was lucky enough to work with Dave in panto, as you can see on Jack and the Beanstalk there. Yeah. So when I first met Dave, I just broke down because it was like, he was the reason that I can do all this. You know, he's the reason that I've been able to do all this. Without seeing that show and him devising that thing, we wouldn't be having this conversation now, you know, and he helped me find that passion for something that is literally my life, you know, and it was such a full circle moment being able to work with Dave. Such a lovely man as well. And yeah, so that's kind of growing up watching all the sort of classic TV stuff. And it wasn't until a little bit later that I really found the old sitcoms, and the biggest things for me was the the Are You Being Served, the Heidi Highs and stuff like that. Growing up with that kind of thing. Once I found the love of panto, I thought, right, hang on there. So I saw Peter Pan at Bournemouth, mainly the shows I saw at Weymouth Pavilion, and then a few years later I saw a certain someone called Sue Pollard in panto.
Oh, brilliant!
And to me, I just thought she was this crazy lady. I didn't know why she was like a famous person. I then discovered she was on a program called Heidi High. So then I went and researched everything about Heidi High and found it fascinating. I had the box set when I was like 10 years old for Christmas, and then carried on watching it. I thought, this is the lady I saw in the panto. You know, and it's all the full circle moments like that. But a lot of my career so far has been a lot of full circle moments, because growing up watching the sitcoms and stuff, it's like the Are You Being Served, and then funnily enough, I now own John Inman's Pantomime Dame costumes. You know, it's the fact that those costumes that he would have used for many, many years on different shows and all, and the TV show The Good Old Days as well. I now have that history. That's in my history, and I just think that's so lovely that I'm now the third generation to have that history and be passed down from the ages, as it were.
What I love, Jamie, about that, my goodness, that one performance from Dave Benson Phillips just sparked your love of panto, made you feel comfortable, got you in, kick-started your panto career, your performing career, and then from that you unlocked the joy of all those classic sitcoms from Sing Sue Pollard, Heidi High, Are You Being Served, You Rang My Lord, just joyous comedy, feel-good shows. Yeah. The beauty of that performance from Dave is that it sounds like you just felt, okay, I feel comfortable here. I feel safe, and to sort of dip into this magical world
absolutely.
Was that huge in your help in kind of understanding your Asperger's? Would you say?
Totally. It was the fact that years ago I went to go and see another show. I lasted 2 minutes because it was play days and they were all banging their buckets and spades together. It was their seaside theme. Soon as that happened, I was gone. I legged it out the theatre. And then from those years onwards, I didn't want to go back in. I didn't feel comfortable doing anything like that. It was only until I saw my parents saw this show of this man that I loved on telly. They thought, we'll give it a go, you know. It's only 15 quid. It's fun. It doesn't matter. And then, you know, from that moment onwards, it just rolled on. So it's almost quite, it's not necessarily rare, but the majority of children, their first experience of theatre is panto. Mine wasn't. Mine was a sing-along show, and then it was the panto. And it was like, again, the first panto I ever saw was Peter Pan. Barney Harwood played Peter Pan in that.
Oh, right.
And then I ended up doing Easter panto with Barney as well. And then I became really good mates with Barney. So it's, again, full circle moment. It's just it's the industry's just full of them. It's amazing. Yeah. I love it.
I love Barney. I did, what did we, Snow White, and it was at the Churchill Bromley again. You know what? It was my second panto. What I loved about Barney, Jamie, was his work ethic, and he was just wonderful, and a good, solid performer, and one of the many, like you mentioned, Tony Rudd, one of the many wonderful pros that we get to work with during panto.
Well, I mean, as I was saying about Tony, I'm really lucky this year to be spec to doing Panto again with Tony. But this year is amazing for Tony. It's his 30th year in Panto consecutively. Yeah, it's a real honour to be sharing the stage with him down in Weymouth for that. It's going to be great. And I mean, it's the second time Tony's done Panto in Weymouth, because the first time he did it was 22 years ago.
Oh.
And to be honest, probably most of the gags are still the same that he's doing, but he'll kill me for saying that.
We touched on the relaxed performances. Our pantos does, I'm sure yours does. And isn't it wonderful when, I mean, we're lucky in what we do over Christmas. Throughout the year, actually, we're entertaining people to make people feel happy, to put a smile on the face, which is joyous.
Absolutely.
It's actually quite touching, isn't it, when you see families who feel comfortable enough to come to a relaxed performance. And isn't it just wonderful?
Yeah, I mean, I love it. I mean, normally before every show, for a relaxed performance, I'd go out as Dame and explain who I am, that I understand how they feel. I've been in their position, and we're going to make it the best thing that we can. And at the end of the show, for relaxed performances, I always go, because they're not, for us down in Weymouth, they're not that busy. You know, then there's enough there to warrant an audience, which is lovely, but it's nice to make it just about them. And at the end of the show, I get back into my opening costume and I go and see them in the foyer afterwards, have photos, say hello and stuff like that, because I just think it's a really nice thing to do. It's because I know that I was that one. That was me once. And if I capture them then, they'll be hopefully, some of them, doing what I do now and proving that regardless of what condition they have, if they have a condition or if it's sensory or whatever, they can still do stuff. Because I can. Why can't they?
And how lovely that you're giving them such a wonderful experience that you had when you were a youngster, Jamie, and they're going away thinking, and the families as well. And it's almost like seeing the parents as well. That's what I love. That seeing the joy on their faces that they've, as a family, they have had a wonderful experience. And do you think that feeling that you're making people so happy, Jamie, with your career?
Oh, it's incredible.
With what you do. Do you think that's helped you with your journey with Asperger's? Has it been more of a help, giving more of a joy, thinking, I want to give something back?
Absolutely. For me, my saying is every day I say, as long as I make one person smile or laugh in a day, that day is good. If I don't, it's wasted. Every day I have to make somebody happy. That's what I do. That's how I live my life. And when I do, then I'm very, very happy. There's a brilliant thing it was a surprise to me last Christmas, because I do a lot of care homes with the Punch and Judy show and the magic and stuff like that. And I love doing them. I've got some lovely stories of that. But as a surprise, one of the care homes that I perform at regularly, they hired a minibus and brought down all the residents and sat and watched me do the panto. The whole back row, because obviously they're all in their chairs and stuff. And I looked at it and I thought, hang on a minute, that's them. And afterwards I went round and I said, well, why didn't you tell me you were coming? And that I said, well, I wanted to surprise you, but they were all there. They were all there. It was lovely. And they sent me a photo of, it's really lovely. You can see I don't know if you should take a photo, but oh well, whatever. And they took a photo of them watching the show, and you can see me on stage as well. So it's on an angle. Oh, and their faces are just so happy and enjoying it. And that's the magic of it. The magic of Panto is the fact that someone that's 4 years old and 94 years old can laugh and enjoy exactly the same thing for exactly the same reason.
I used to work in at Denville Hall, Jamie, which was an actor's retirement home, with some wonderful people there. And I know from experience, like, how much that little escapism, that little drop of happiness and joy would have meant so much to them. And how wonderful that you're going to care homes, entertain with the magic and your puppet show. That must be a beautiful feeling as well, to know you're making a difference to their lives.
It's so lovely. I mean, one of my favourite stories of performing at a care home is after the Punch and Judy show, I always bring Mr Punch round to have photos with the residents, which is a really lovely thing to do. And I went up to a lady and I said, oh, would you like to meet Mr Punch and have a photo? Oh, yes, please. That'd be lovely. I really enjoyed the show. And I looked over at the carers and they were crying. I thought, what have I done? Was it me? Have I done something wrong? Because that's where my brain goes automatically. It said, right, what have I done wrong? But I went over there afterwards and I said, what's happened to her? That's the first time she's spoken in 6 months. And it's the magic of it. It's the fact that regardless of if it's panto or whatever, theatre is
Yeah.
so important, and it makes so many things happen in their brains, and it's just so beautiful, really.
Theatre, just listening to a bit of music, appreciating art, and isn't it wonderful? That's why I love what I do as well, Jamie. It's just knowing you are making a difference to people's lives,
Yeah,
and especially like life can be hard. If we can just give people a little smile each day, which is the whole point of the
absolutely.
podcast, and what you do with your career is wonderful. And it's just so lovely to know that you're giving so much to
Oh yeah,
people.
absolutely. You have to, I think for you only can make it so far in the industry if you're being vain. You can only
Yeah.
make it so far if you're being vain, being horrible, whatever. If you're kind to people, kindness costs nothing. That's what I was brought up on. Manners cost nothing. Kindness costs nothing. And if you smile at someone, it's infectious. If you give someone a smile, they'll smile back at you. They might think you're passing wind, but you can't really have it all. But you know
I
what I mean.
agree. It's like, yeah, if you can, I'm a huge advocate of that, Jamie. Just smile,
Yeah,
say hello. You get so much back. Hopefully you
yeah,
make. Likewise, I get some people think I'm Big Bird around where I live. Like, God, here he comes, old smiley Big Bird. But I don't care. 'Cause it makes me feel happy.
yeah. Absolutely. No, it's so lovely. It really is.
I'm gearing up for another Christmas in my frocks and heels. You mentioned you've got John Inman. I
Yeah.
saw John Inman. I think it would have been at the Alex in Birmingham, or maybe. What
Oh,
amazing costumes! How the hell did you get one of the greats of British varieties costumes,
so
Jamie?
a friend of mine and myself, we did a online chat show in COVID, and we had guests on, and one of the guests we had on was Malcolm Lord. Now, Malcolm, he's a resident dame at the Lyceum Theatre in Crewe, and
Okay.
he was also Bungle on Rainbow. So just let that sink in.
My goodness.
Yeah, and he toured for years with John. So the Rainbow lot and John got put together one year. John became poorly, became really ill, and as they went round together for a few years, Malcolm knew John's part. So what happened was they recorded all the Bungle lines, and the ASM went in the Bungle costume,
Oh, okay.
and Malcolm went, well, I'll have to pop down the shops and go and get a blouse and a pleated skirt, and John went, no, you'll use my costumes. So the voice is there, and
Spot on. I love it. I love
I'm
it.
free. I'm free. It's awful, isn't it? Yeah.
It's
And
good.
so Malcolm went on, and then a few years later, I can't remember the venue for the life of me, but John, it was John, I think it was Bromley. John went off ill in rehearsals,
Hmm.
and Malcolm went, well, I'll have to cover for John until he comes back. Sadly, John never did. So Malcolm
Oh.
did that whole run for John. And then Malcolm became a dame in his own right and borrowed things from John, etc., etc. And when John passed away, he left his costumes to Malcolm because he had them anyway, and he just said, "Well,
Yeah.
keep them and use them." And Malcolm being a resident dame in Crewe, they'd seen everything because obviously you can't really repeat stuff. So they've been sat in his garage
Mm.
in his garage for years and not years and years, but a few years. And they were just sat there doing nothing. And Malcolm said, well, when I pop my clogs, I'll leave them to you. And I said, well, they'll be no good by then. And he went, until we came up with an agreement, if he needed anything, he could still use stuff.
Right.
And I stored them in my storage and
Yeah.
used them and keep them, but they would be mine. So I think I've got about nearly 20 of John's costumes,
My goodness.
his wigs. I've got his strip routine. I've got John's strip, the classic strip
Gosh, yeah,
routine.
yeah.
I've got his costume from the good old days. And one of my personal favourites of John's that I love, it's huge. It's black and gold, and it was made for the London Palladium. And it's basically the same width as a two-seater sofa. It's a
My
massive,
goodness.
yeah, it's just absolutely stunning. So I've used most of them. There's a few that I wouldn't use because they're just quite special. It's like his Willow
Yeah,
pattern China dress costume. That's like his classic.
yeah.
That one's very special. So yeah, that's how I kind of got those, and I sort of try and use at least one or two every year.
Ah,
But yeah, so this year, because I'm doing Peter Pan, they didn't really have anything that was pirate or nautical, so I've
hmm.
had to get a lot of new costumes made. So I've got 11 costume changes this year,
Have you got who
and
makes them? Do you make them yourself, or do you get the old
I'm not that
singer
good.
out and get sewing? Or
No, I wish. And yeah, so a majority of my costumes this year have been made by Christopher Hardcastle. And Christopher, they've made a load of stuff for all
Right.
different companies. And yeah, the stuff that Christopher does is amazing. But yeah, there's one particular costume that I'm going to save for the show. So you have to book your tickets and come and see it. But
Book your
let's just
tickets.
say it doesn't leave much to the imagination.
Saucy. A bit of festive sauce. We like that.
Let's just say Baywatch. That's all I'm going to say.
I love it. Damehood. I mean, this is my second year as Dame. You're far more experienced, my goodness. But it's a real skill. It's a real art form. It's not just chucking on the frock, is it? And
No, it's incredible.
it's like a beautiful little club almost that I feel that I've joined. But
Yeah.
it's so important to pitch perfectly, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've been so lucky over the years to have some amazing people give me advice and help me become the Dame and performer that I am.
Yeah.
I mean, Michael Batchelor has been a huge help to me.
Great Dame, yeah.
Eric Potts as well. Eric's been a huge help to me. And there's so many people that have been a huge help. And it's nice to be able to just borrow a few bits here and there and then make it my own and stuff. And I feel now that my Dame is very much mine. And it's not like just a little bit of someone else, but a little bit of somebody else. It is me. And last season I was watching back the footage and I thought, you know what? I feel like I've found her now. It's taken a while. And I actually feel that I've found who my Dame is, which is really nice.
Yeah, and how lovely you can go into this year with that confidence as well and just have fun and play with it because it's
I'm so
lovely,
excited.
isn't it? Yeah.
It's Peter Pan. It's the first panto I ever saw, and it's going to be an incredible show. Our cast are phenomenal. We've got Stefan Pejic as Captain Hook, and his villain is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And this is a fun fact for you. So we've actually got in the show 4 people working in the cast that have Asperger's.
Oh.
Yeah. So it just totally, it wasn't planned or anything like that. Yeah. So we're all really proud of that. But it's the fact that the company have booked us regardless of that. They booked us for our talent, and it's just really nice to be able to say we're doing this, and it's I mean, if you're going to find us, we'll all be having a meltdown somewhere over someone changing their routine or something.
And I love that. But away from the stage, away from the theatre, Jamie, how does the Asperger's affect your day-to-day life? Is it?
So over the years, I've found coping mechanisms, and it's being a performer and acting has helped so much, to no end. It's the fact that I know I can put on an act, as it were. If I'm going into sort of a bit of a meltdown mode or feeling a bit anxious about something, I know that I can just take myself back, and if people need to talk to me or whatever, I can almost play a character. I know that probably sounds totally ridiculous, but that's kind of the way my mindset is with it. But growing up was tough. There was so many challenges. I mean, this was the thing I was very proud of, is the fact that I was expected to get no GCSEs at school. I got 5. I got 6.
Amazing.
I got 6 GCSEs. I didn't get my English GCSE. It took me 2 more attempts at college to get that, but I got it. And then I went in to do performing arts at college in level 2. I was expected to pass. I got a distinction star.
That's
and then
amazing.
I did level 3, and then I did 2 years of level 3. I was expected to pass again. I got a triple distinction.
God.
So constantly, I've always throughout my life proved people wrong, and they're going to go, no, you can't do that, Jamie. I go, watch me.
Yeah. I think that's so admirable, Jamie. And you've obviously got such a wonderful spirit that makes you do that and drives you and makes you succeed, and your family must be so proud of that.
They're amazing. I'm so lucky that I've got an amazing family. I mean, my dad, bless him, he takes me to all of my gigs. He drives me to Panto. He hire the van and get all the costumes from the unit, drive it to Weymouth, unload it, drives it back again, and then the same on after we close and stuff. But I'm so lucky that my family love what I do, and I'm so lucky. But let's be honest, they don't have a choice.
They're probably exhausted as you, Jamie, once the Panto run's finished.
But yeah, I think my mum came to see it last time, probably 5 times. But it was really lovely though in last year though, because I was that little bit nearer home, and my nanny, God bless her, she's passed away now,
Oh,
but last December she basically waited out. She got to see me in Panto. She got brought there with one of the carers from the home and her best friend Dottie,
oh,
and they were sat there front row, and I came out, hello Weymouth. She went, that's my grandson. And he just loved it.
oh.
And I throughout the whole show, I just made it for her. I was like, "You still awake, love?" Doing all of that. But yeah. So then she passed away, sort of in late January. But it was like she waited to see
Yeah.
and that was so special, so
Oh,
special.
that,
So it's been a long time since she's been able to actually see me do what I can do, and I was so proud that she got to see that show because it was a phenomenal show,
yeah.
and in a lovely theatre as well. So it was really nice, a lovely full circle moment, because basically she is my dame. My dame is
Yeah.
modelled off of her. It's always the way you have the strong women in your life and stuff. You know what I mean? And it's like if because my granddad passed away as well a few years ago, and he was
Oh,
also a huge supporter in me. He loved what I did, but when they were driving in the car together, if he did something wrong, she'd go, "Will you slow down? Will you calm down? What are you doing? What's they doing about that? Will slow down." Brian, will you stop that for goodness sake? It's all of this nagging this, you know what I mean? And it was that's what she was like. And a lot of that is translated to my dame. And I love the fact that I'm carrying that forward is the naggingness. Will you stop that for goodness sake? What do you think you're doing? It's all of that.
my dame's more like Bruce Force.
Well, I didn't want to say anything, love, but you know what I mean?
But I mentioned my gran watching Panto with her in years gone by when I was a little chap at the Birmingham Hip, and we saw Les Dawson as well. He played the nurse in, I think, would have been Babes in the Wood, I think. But
Yeah.
yeah, just again, like his pitch of the character is like, oh my,
Well, he was
he was fantastic.
phenomenal performer. I mean, I've known of
Yeah.
stories of him turning up at the Five, going backstage, bit of red on the nose, and off he goes and does his thing.
Yeah, but I remember seeing. I was on stage at the Hip again, full circle moment coming down for my bow. It would have been probably Beauty and the Beast, I think, and seeing my gran there, little Bunty, and my goodness,
Magic,
and
isn't it?
likewise, you mentioned those strong women in your life. My goodness, it's that support and also that encouragement to do what
Yeah,
makes you happy that I love.
totally. Yeah, it was a lovely full circle moment. And I mean, for me being near a home as well, there wasn't a
Yeah,
show that I didn't have at least one person in that audience that I knew. So there was all my teachers from school, and this was a lovely thing as well. The hotel that I stayed at in Clacton for my 2 seasons there, they shut the hotel up for a few days, hopped on the train from Clacton, and they all came to Weymouth. The whole family that owned the hotel, they all came to Weymouth and saw
oh,
the show. So they still saw me in Panto, and it was so lovely, so lovely.
you're such a fantastic dame, but also you're one of the leading Punch and Judy performers. Another huge British
Yeah.
tradition that you've mastered. Was that a tough skill to learn? Was that your introduction to puppetry?
Yeah, to an extent, it was. I love doing it. It's so much
Yeah.
fun. And I mean, I saw a show when I was 12 years old in Bournemouth Gardens, and I went, that's what I want to do. So that Christmas, my family bought me my first booth and my first set of puppets, and then I did my first public performance at the end of December 2012. It was just magic. It was so much fun. It was awful show. Probably still the same rubbish I do now, but no, I love it. And it's since then I've had the family festivals, the fun days, and all that sort of thing, and the care homes as well, because it obviously
Yeah.
brings back so many memories for them. But I love it. I absolutely love it. I've got hang on, have I got Mr. Punch here? I have a
Oh
Mr.
yeah,
Punch
let's say
here.
hello.
Here he is. I even got the mouthpiece that makes his voice, which is called the swazzle.
Oh,
That's the secret that makes his voice.
okay.
But this is a Mr. Punch here. There he is.
Hey, there he
There
is.
he
There's
is. So
Mr.
there you go.
Punch.
But yeah, I've got my little museum here. It's almost my shrine to my life.
Yeah.
I've got puppets, I've got posters, I've got goodness knows what else. It's a bit mental, but it's nice that I wake up in the morning and I go, I've done all this. This is all me. I
Yeah.
mean, it's like if I ever feel a bit down or anything like
Oh,
that, I go, you know what? This is me. I can carry on today
yeah.
because I've done all this. I can carry on. Do you know what I mean? It's a
Yeah.
lovely thing to be able to look at.
I love that because I think as Brits and as performers as well, we don't give ourselves enough credit for
Yeah.
the situation we put ourselves in, the fighting for jobs, because it is tough, the ups and downs of show business can be tricky, can be mentally exhausting. But I think it's lovely that you have all that there to give yourself a pat on the back to think, you know what, I'm doing what I love and I'm making people happy. It's so
also the
admirable,
fact
Jamie.
that I'm a hoarder. It comes with the Asperger. So it's impossible to throw things away near enough.
Right.
And it's like when I was a kid at school, if I had like a bit of paper I wrote something on, I'd hide it in a drawer or something because I knew where it was, and it was like stuff like that. But now I hoard all this rubbish. It's just I love what I do. It's great.
And the Easter Panto poster there, Jamie. That's is that tough as well? Diving back into the genre so soon, really,
I mean,
after Christmas.
It was great though. I loved it. It was hard work. I mean, we played so many different venues. It was a brilliant show, and it was the first time I played The Lion in Wizard of Oz, and I did it again that same summer. So I did it twice. It was great fun. But the commuting was hard going. It was hardcore. I mean, we car shared with people, and most of the time I shared a car with Brian Capron. And now Brian was Richard Hillman on Coronation Street. So whenever I got in a car with Brian, I go, "Don't go near the canal, all right?" Because that was his thing when he got out of Corrie. But it was mental though. But it was so much fun. It was so much fun, and hopefully I'll get to do another one at some point soon. And I really enjoy doing the Easter shows and the other times of year because it's nice that Panto can work all year round. Because why shouldn't it?
In Weymouth Pavilion again. Is it lovely being associated with such a great venue each year now, Jamie? And
it's really
Peter Pan.
nice.
You must be so excited about that.
Oh, I'm really excited. It's my first panto I ever saw, and I've been putting the script in bits and pieces together, and then with Tony with his voices and his impressions, it's going to be really good. One of Tony's voices is now going to be a lot more topical again. So Mr. Trump is going to be a lot more topical. It's back in now. So
maybe you could write a Trump and Judy show, Jamie.
Look at that, right? It'll be on commission next, you watch. It'll be on commission.
Jamie, it's been so lovely to chat to you. I admire your spirit. I admire the joy you get in making people happy, because that is such a quality that not everybody has, and you should be so proud of how you make people feel. I think it's wonderful, and how you embrace the genre of panto and realise just how important it is to British culture as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so lucky in doing what I do, and it's and if other people enjoy it too, then that makes me even more happy. There's a saying in show business: you're only as good as your audience. So if I've been rubbish, you say, "Oh."
I love it. And what's on the dinner menu tonight? I always ask my guests at the end of each episode, what's on the? Are you a cook? Are you off out?
We're off out tonight, so we're going to our local tonight, so that's always quite exciting. Every other week we kind of go out for a meal or something like that, but yeah, so that's not very exciting really. But this is another thing with the Asperger's, is that once I know what I like at particular places or at home and stuff, I eat that same thing because I know it's safe food. It's like at Panto at Christmas. I normally, in between shows, I go out and get myself a ham salad sandwich from the local sandwich shop. Then I go and have the same dinner every night because I wouldn't have to stress about choosing what I was having, because then I could just concentrate on doing what I need to do. It's ridiculous, but that's how my brain works.
Well, it's a brilliant brain. It's a beautiful brain, Jamie, and just want to wish you all the best for a wonderful panto season. I guess people can just hop on the Weymouth Pavilion website for tickets.
See, here's the thing. This is how Asperger I am as well, right? Here we go. So you can go online at www.weymouthpavilion.com, or you can call the box office on 01305 783 225.
I love it. You nailed it. Mrs Smee in Peter Pan on the horizon. Jamie Riding, it's been so lovely to chat to you in Benjy's Cafe podcast. You put a smile on the face. Don't forget how many people you make happy as well. You're wonderful. And I just wish you all the love in the world and a happy Christmas.
You too. Have a lovely season as well up in Mansfield. Have a great time. And thank you for having me on.
Thanks for listening to the brilliant Jamie Riding. You're always welcome in Benjy's Cafe, and wishing all my wonderful listeners and guests a happy and peaceful Christmas. Remember, 35 smile-inducing episodes to enjoy wherever you get your podcasts. And if you can, please say hello on the Benjy's Cafe socials, leave a comment, and like and share with your family and friends. Series 2 kicks off in January. And look out for your second Christmas treat, a chat with the brilliant actor Leon Craig, dropping soon. Right, time for a turkey sandwich. I'll get the kettle on. Merry Christmas.